The reverse osmosis, water purification unit, ROWPU, is a critical asset in expeditionary site establishment and for providing potable water in a nuclear, biological, or chemical contaminated environment. In this lesson, you will learn how to properly set up the ROWPU, produce potable water from various sources, and understand ROWPU components, functions, operational maintenance, and capabilities. Let's get started. Size, dimensions, and weight. The ROWPU is 104 by 88 by 84 inches, the same size as a 463L pallet, weighing 8,000 pounds. When containerized, it weighs 11,200 pounds. It can process 1,500 gallons per hour of salt water and 1,800 gallons per hour of fresh or brackish water. Power requirements. Its power requirements are 35 kilowatts, 208 volts, AC, 3-phase, 60 Hz, and 104 amps. A generator with 60 kilowatt, 200 amp capability is sufficient. Individual component description. Place the ROWPU on level ground, near the water source, with a maximum operating distance of 250 feet using both raw water pumps. The water should be free of petroleum, chlorine, and not exceed 110 degrees Fahrenheit. The source must be upstream from any encampment. Now let's examine the pumps and their components. The ROWPU subsystem uses two portable electric pumps drawing from a water source. The pump closest to the ROWPU also functions as the backwash pump. These pumps can be aligned in series, depending on the distance from the source. They have a 50 gallons per minute and 105-foot head capacity. Each 123.5-pound pump motor is a 3-horsepower, 45 psi, 3,450 RPM centrifugal type, requiring 208-volt AC, 3-phase, and 8.1 amps, and is fed by MS2 or MS3. The system includes 4 chemical feed pumps, each with a capacity of 2.67 gallons per hour and adjustable speed and stroke. These are 120-volt single-phase diaphragm pumps designed to inject specific chemicals from color-coded jerry cans. The green jerry can contains sodium hex, used for anti-scaling and corrosion control. The blue jerry can holds polymer, which functions as a coagulant. Citric acid, with a target pH range of 5.0 to 8.0, is stored in the yellow jerry can. Finally, the red jerry can contains chlorine, used for product water disinfection. Color code hoses. Other important color coding is for the pipes. Black pipe is for raw water, yellow is for filtered water, purple is for brine discharge, blue is for product water, red is for wastewater. The reverse osmosis or RO pump. The reverse osmosis or RO pump is a multi-stage 40 horsepower centrifugal pump with a 1200 psi at 3,450 RPM head pumping capacity. It increases the water pressure to the RO pressure vessels, pushing filtered water through the RO elements. A 3-phase 208-volt power requirement and is fed by MS1. Utilizing discharge from the RO pump, the regulate booster valve acts as a turbocharger, increasing pressure by recovering energy from the brine water discharge. Distribution pump. The distribution pump transfers water from a water bladder to a water truck, water buffaloes, or other containers. It is a 21.7 psi pump operating at 3,450 RPM with a 50 gallons per minute, 50-foot head capacity. Power requirements are 3-phase 208 volts and is fed from MS4. Its major components are the pump, the plug-in, and the distribution nozzle. Booster pump. The booster pump is a 90-pound, 21.7 psi, 3,450 RPM, 50 gallons per minute, and 50-foot head capacity centrifugal pump that increases water pressure to the bag filter. It requires 208-volt AC 3-phase 3.2 amp power fed by MS5 and is interchangeable with the distribution pump, though their junction box locations differ. The booster pump's junction box is top-mounted, while the distribution pump's is angled 90 degrees right to the motor, risking collision with the RO pump during installation. Always clean the booster pump before use. Bag filter. The bag filter is a vital component that removes suspended solids down to 5 microns as water passes from the multimedia filter. It is a tightly woven 16-inch long bag and represents the second stage of filtration. The filter should be replaced when the differential pressure rises above 20 psi. Although the technical order allows for 20 psi differential, the PLC will indicate a plugged filter at 10 psi differential. Operating above this can restrict flow and cause the RO pump to fault on low pressure. Multimedia filter. The multimedia filter is the first stage of filtration. It contains 4 layers of media: gravel, plastic beads, filter ag, and carbon. It works in conjunction with the polymer chemical, which coagulates suspended solids, preparing the water for the second stage of filtration in the bag filter. RO elements. The RO elements are another key component. Inside the 4 fiberglass RO pressure vessels are 2 RO elements each. These semi-permeable elements use high pressure to separate dissolved or total dissolved solids from the filtered water. Product water comes out the center of the elements after it is pressurized in the RO vessels from outside in. Water that doesn't make it to the center is brine water. Before installing, ensure the 2 elements are properly connected. Pay close attention to the direction of flow during installation and make sure the brine seals are not damaged. ROWPU operations. Begin by closing all drain valves below water connections. Open all vent valves at the sampling sink, handles out and up. To prime the raw water pump, submerge the intake. Remove the priming plug, fill with non-chlorinated water, and replace the plug. Finally, confirm the backwash valve assembly is set for water flow from pump 1 to pump 2, handle in middle. Now, it is time to power the unit. To power on the unit, follow these steps. Apply power at the source. Push the main disconnect up to engage it. Pull out the E-stop button. Press the main power button and confirm the indicator light turns on. Set the vent vessel switch to the vent position. First, we'll configure the initial setup and establish flow. Let's begin by adjusting the chemical pumps. For the polymer pump, if you're working with turbid water, set the stroke and speed to 45%. This should give you a flow rate of 60 milliliters per minute. For clear water, adjust the setting down to 30% for a flow of 20 milliliters per minute. Next, for both sodium hex and chlorine, set the stroke and speed to 45%. Verify that both are flowing at 60 milliliters per minute. Leave the citric acid pump at its default setting of 100%. Now, let's start the raw water flow. Start raw water pump 1, then start raw water pump 2. Use the main gate valve to adjust the flow to between 45 and 52 gallons per minute. A quick warning: allowing the flow to exceed 52 gallons per minute can damage the filter system. Once you see a steady, consistent flow from all 3 vents, the multimedia filter, the bag filter, and the filtered water vents, go ahead and close them. With the initial flow established, we can begin the main system startup. First, turn the polymer feed switch to the run position. Now, wait 10 minutes for the system to stabilize. After 10 minutes, check the filtered water turbidity. Your target is a reading of less than 2 NTU. If the reading is too high, increase the polymer feed in small 5% increments. Be sure to wait another 10 minutes between each adjustment until you reach the target. Next, set both the sodium hex switch and the vent vessel switches to run. Fully open the raw water gate valve. Start the booster pump. You should see all indicator lights turn green. Now, start the RO pump. It is critical that you immediately adjust the system flows to prevent damage. Use the regulate flow valve to set the raw water flow to between 48 and 50 gallons per minute. Then use the regulate booster valve to fine-tune the brine water flow. Finally, let's cover chemical management and system monitoring. Set the chlorine valve to run. Please note, if you are using new elements, you must flush them for a full 60 minutes before injecting chlorine. After chlorine has been running for 2 minutes, check the product water. The chlorine level should be 2 parts per million. Also, check the brine pH level. It should be between 5 and 8. If the pH is too high, run the citric acid feed in 10-minute increments until the level drops below 8. You must test the chlorine levels every hour. If a test shows less than 2 parts per million, increase the chlorine feed by 10%, wait 2 minutes, and then retest. You will also need to perform a citric acid feed after every 20 hours of operation, or any time the brine pH rises above 8. To do this, set the citric acid valve to run for 10 minutes. If the pH is still high, you will need to mix a new citric acid solution and repeat the process. Once the pH drops below 8, the feed is complete. Return the valve to the prime position. Lastly, you'll need to calculate the system's rejection rate. The rate must be 96.5% or higher, and the product water TDS must be below 1,000 parts per million. To calculate the rate, use this formula. Take the source TDS and subtract the product TDS. Divide that result by the source TDS, then multiply by 100 to get your percentage. Maintenance bag filter. You'll need to clean the bag filter when one of two things happens. Either the plugged indicator light turns on, or the differential pressure gauge reads greater than 20 psi. To perform the maintenance, start by removing the bag. Turn it inside out and use a spray nozzle to manually wash it clean. While it's out, take a moment to inspect the gasket, the retainer, and the cover for any cracks or damage. If you're installing a new gasket, be sure to use the specified lubricant. To reassemble, place the clean bag back into its basket and put the basket into the housing. Reinstall the retainer, making sure it's in the correct orientation. Finally, install the cover and reconnect the tubing. Once everything is back in place, bring the system back online and verify that it's operating normally. Maintenance, backwash. It's time to backwash the multimedia filter if the media filter plug light turns on. If the differential pressure exceeds 40 psi or if the unit has been shut down for more than 24 hours. Keep in mind, the backwash cycle lasts for 12 minutes and will use between 600 and 800 gallons of brine water. First, confirm the differential pressure is above the limit and ensure you have enough brine water available for the cycle. Next, follow the standard short-term shutdown procedures. Set the vent vessel selector switch to the vent position and completely close the raw water gate valve. Then, turn the backwash valve assembly located on raw water pump number 2. Now you're ready to begin. Press the backwash cycle start button. Immediately after starting, slowly open the raw water gate valve, making sure the flow does not go above 50 gallons per minute. It's very important to check the waste hose to ensure no filter media is coming out. From here, the backwash cycle will run automatically. Maintenance. Multimedia rebed. For a multimedia filter, rebed, remove the top and bottom access covers and all filter material. Install layers in this order: gravel, plastic beads, filter rag, and finally carbon. Then, install the covers and operate the ROWPU to check for leaks and correct operation. Maintenance, chemical feed. Make sure to keep the feed pump and liquid head clean. Inspect, repair, or rebuild as needed using the available rebuild kits. Also, clean and inspect chemical cans and replace as needed. Maintenance, RO vessels. Element cleaning. It's time to clean the RO vessels and elements when you notice one of several indicators. These include the service element, light turning on, the RO vessel differential pressure going over 100 psi, or the main pressure gauge reading 980 psi. You should also perform a cleaning if the product water flow drops below 18 gallons per minute for salt water or 20 gallons per minute for fresh water. Other triggers include a product water TDS reading higher than 1,000 parts per million, or if the system can no longer achieve its required rejection rate. When you're ready to clean, it's critical to only use non-chlorinated product water. Use the low pH citric acid solution to remove mineral deposits and use the high pH detergent solution to remove any organic contaminants. During this process, the head assembly will need to be inspected and cleaned. Any parts that cannot be cleaned to a like-new condition must be replaced. When you're installing or removing the elements, always follow the direction of flow indicated on the housing. The elements are a twist-locking type, so you must ensure the tabs are properly aligned, otherwise they can separate during operation. Also, be sure to inspect all 6 O-rings and replace any that are worn. A vessel pressure below 30 psi is a good indicator that you may have a bad O-ring. Finally, if cleaning no longer reduces the RO vessel's operating pressure below 100 psi, the elements have reached the end of their life and must be replaced. Maintenance, pump disassembly. Replacement part kits are available for all pumps within the ROWPU, containing various gaskets and springs to rebuild the pump assembly's inner workings. Electrical. Now let's discuss the electrical control systems. The ROWPU is operated by a programmable logic controller, or PLC. Airmen need a basic understanding of PLCs to operate the system and troubleshoot faults. The control system has 3 key components: the PLC, the device net scanner, and input-output, or I/O modules. The PLC is a specialized computer programmed to control system functions. It comes pre-programmed from the manufacturer, but updates may be needed if components are replaced or if you're working with a different generation ROWPUs. The device net scanner acts as a bridge between the PLC and the I/O modules, using 600 series network cables to organize and relay data. I/O modules connect through these cables and are identified by unique addresses. They send and receive signals to control relays, motor starters, solenoids, and lights. Electrically, the ROWPU receives 120/208 volt 3-phase power, which is distributed through a main disconnect and circuit breakers. A 24-volt DC power supply runs all control circuits. To start raw water pump number 1, for example, you first press the power on switch and wait 30 to 45 seconds for the PLC to initialize. The device net scanner checks for errors. When you press the Start Raw Water Pump number 1 button, a signal is sent to the PLC, which communicates through the device net scanner to the correct I/O module. This sends 24 volts DC to the motor starter, closing the contactor and sending power to the pump. The system then confirms the pump is running and lights the pilot indicator. Shutdown short-term. For a short-term shutdown, less than 1 day, do not power off the unit, as this will depressurize the system and require a full restart. Depress the high-pressure pump button, then the booster pump, the chemical feed pumps, raw water pump 2, and finally, raw water pump 1. To restart from this condition, press the buttons in the reverse order and wait for the system to stabilize. Shutdown, long-term. For a long-term shutdown, more than 1 day, if running salt water, flush the system with non-chlorinated product water for at least 30 minutes. For fresh or brackish water, flush for at least 10 minutes. Follow the short-term shutdown procedures. Turn the vent vessel switch to vent. Backwash the multimedia filter. Then, press the main power off button, press the emergency stop, and open the main disconnect. Cleaning and preservation. Preservation should be completed when the ROWPU is to be stored for an extended period, especially in freezing conditions where membrane antifreeze is required. Preparation for shipment. For preparation for shipment and storage, if the unit is down for more than 72 hours, perform extended shutdown procedures. Collect at least 2,000 chlorine-free gallons of product water. Flush and drain the chemical feed pumps by running clean water through them for about 5 minutes. Reconfigure the raw water system to connect to a dechlorinated water source. Flush the system with this water, then reconfigure the backwash supply to the same source and backwash the multimedia filter. Flush and drain the ROWPU. To finalize for shipment, open all drain valves and disassemble the raw water, waste, vent, and product water systems. Rinse all components. Shut off the electrical power and remove the grounding rod. The ROWPU is now ready for packing. Load the pumps into the unit and secure them to the floor. Load all accessories on top of the ROWPU and secure them with cargo netting and carabiners. Closely following the steps outlined in this training will ensure the successful operation of the system. Congratulations, you have completed this lesson.